Hey, this video is sponsored by Bombas. Use code BITR20 to save 20% off your first order. We've been running Bombas with, we've been talking about them all the time.
I like all the different socks.
Yeah.
I like the heights. In the winter, I like something a little lower. In the summer, I like the quarter sock or the crew sock.
And if you buy a pair, they give away a pair to someone in need, so feel good about that. And feel good about this review because we are here with part 2 of the best running shoes of 2022.
All right, so now we've got Robbie here. We're gonna go over some more shoes. Robbie, let's get right into Tempo Shoe of the Year.
Okay, let's
Can you
go
explain
for it.
what Tempo's for?
So Tempo shoes for those speed work days, when you're training for a race day, but you want to get in some good reps at faster paces, do some intervals, things like that. So you want to feel light on your feet, you want to have a quick turnover, and some nice pop off the toe. So Thomas, what's your favorite Tempo shoe?
Well, before we get into Tempo, I'd also say I'm gonna add one thing.
All right.
That you might want to use a Tempo shoe more for like track days. Like if you're not wearing, I don't wear spikes. They probably blow out my Achilles.
Those are like soccer, things you wear for soccer, right?
Right. So like a Tempo shoe is something that you get that really fast feel on the track with that is gonna help you out. I also like it just when I'm doing my intervals on the street during the week.
Or a 5K race, something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And my favorite by far this year was the Streak Fly.
Nike Streak Fly, okay.
Yeah. I know, New Balance had the Pacer, stuff like that, but this one I just really loved. And it's funny that we consider this like a more minimal than race day shoe because the stack of the shoe is almost double like what the flats used to be for marathon. And it has that Zoom X feel. It's got a plastic shank in here to give you some rigidity in the middle. I actually ran a 5K with Ben Johnson in this shoe when we were down in Florida. We both loved it. I like the feel of this better than the Vaporfly 2. The Zoom X bounce, and when you really got going in the pace, it doesn't have a plate other than the shank in the middle here, but it did feel fast off the toe.
Honorable mention for me, and there's a bit of a discussion in the office whether this is...
An asterisk goes by this.
Whether this is officially a 2022 shoe, but it would be the Adidas Takumi Sen 8.
It is great. It is fantastic. It just gets better and better. The grip on it is insane.
Yeah.
It would go head to head with this. It would be a tough choice between those two.
For sure.
I'd still probably go with my Street Fly, but Robbie'd hit that Takumi Sen all day long.
100%. All right, let's keep going.
All right, Robbie. Stability is normally a very boring category.
I feel like the evolution of stability is slower than
wide feet.
Yeah, like the Apple that's in my backpack for 3 months that still looks the same.
You mean that they're not doing a lot of innovation in stability usually?
Exactly.
I feel like they put in that posting on the medial side, and then there you go, there's your stability shoe, and they're usually heavy, they're clunky.
There's no cool technology about them, foams or anything.
Colors are gonna be like the grays and stuff, kind of like the wide feet.
But all that's changed for 2022 with the Saucony Tempest. Man, this shoe is just a great shoe all around. You could wear this as a neutral daily trainer for sure.
I found that a lot of people who did try it liked it, even though they didn't need stability. They're like, that's my shoe. People were racing in this shoe. It's light. It's got this, is this a power?
Yeah, Power on PB, same foam they use in their racing shoes.
The upper fit's amazing. Matter of fact, Saucony this year, uppers.
Yeah. They're great. Our stability reviewers all love the shoe. There's just enough of a bit of a hardened foam in here to give you that stability that you need.
They kind of did reimagine stability in general. While you still have some posting here on the center, they did do the 2 foams. So Robbie's right. You got the Power Run PB in the heel here and in the forefoot, but you kind of have like a horseshoe that goes around the back of the shoe to give you that stability. I guess they call it guidance now. Even though we don't necessarily need stability, we can feel how the stability works with the shoe, so we get a good idea how to review it.
All right, so honorable mention for stability, I'm gonna go with the Asics Gel Kayano 29. I actually wore this shoe, I think 18 miles out of the box for a long run.
What was that for? Was that just?
It was during summer grit.
Okay.
Yeah, I really like this shoe a lot. It reminded me just of a stability version of the Gel Nimbus 24, which was another one of my favorite shoes this year. You got a top layer of Flight Foam Blast Plus. I think the bottom layer is just Flight Foam Blast. in the past, Asics stability is like a build-up, I don't even know,
But it
monstrosity.
was also like that was stability. You went to Asics for stability.
Yeah, but this is, you know, slimmed down. It has a little bit of stability in it, but, and it still has a gel, of course, but feels pretty good underneath, you know, nothing crazy.
I'd have to say Fight Foam Blast Plus is one of my favorite feeling foams under your foot. And where it differs here than in some of the other models is you really do get that nice soft feel under the front of your foot. And then the stability comes from the firmer feel of the foam in the back. Where it loses to me over the Tempest, it just isn't as light and lively as the Saucony Tempest.
Right.
There's some people that are fortunate enough to live where they can run from a road to a trail, maybe back to a road. It's really hard to get a shoe that can handle both trail and pavement and not feel either clunky on pavement or slippery on the trails.
Yeah. And when you come across that shoe, it's nice because you can use it, for whatever. So this is the Nike Pegasus Trail 4. This is the Gore-Tex version. Let's just get to what's really great about this shoe. The outsole grip is definitely a new rubber from Nike Trail. It's much more stickier and grippier, which has been a thorn in our side for, I don't know, 4 years, ever.
It's like the
Nike
Achilles heel of Nike trail shoes.
The grip has always been atrocious. This is just, they changed it, that's all I can say. And that's been a huge bonus for this shoe. But what I really love about this is the Nike React midsole. It's gotta be, it might be my favorite version of React in all the Nike shoes.
Well, what's interesting, it probably is because it reminds you of the Epic React that they first came out with. There's no AirPod in here. There's nothing messing around. It's just a midsole of React foam, which feels great. What I was surprised about was how much I like this shoe, because the last version of this shoe felt really boxy on my foot and a little heavy. This one feels light and agile, and even though this is pretty aggressive tread on the bottom, and Robbie mentioned that they fixed the rubber on it, when you're running on the roads, it doesn't feel like you're wearing knobby tires from like a mountain bike on the road. It just feels nice and smooth.
And I know a lot of people who just have used this shoe as a road shoe and they love it. And it does transition well to trails. The nice thing about this too is that it has a more rounded toe box, and it just feels like a slipper on the trails. And this is also one of the most comfortable walking shoes, just general everyday shoes.
One of the things I liked about this shoe, the Gore-Tex, we used to think that it was just for water protection. It keeps your foot cool and it keeps it dry, keeps a better situation, and this little gusset around the top, it actually works pretty well to keep debris out. I just feel like there's a comfortable shoe that fits well and has good cushioning. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask for.
Yeah, for Road to Trail runner-up, we're going with the Ultra Outroad. Our trail reviewers really love this shoe. It's a simple trail shoe with it has a nice grip on the outsole, but the midsole you can feel it. It's soft.
Yeah, the Ego foam feels softer than most of the Ultras. Like, I don't understand, like, hopefully this is in the Torn or something, but...
And it's just a good, nice, comfortable shoe. Pretty simple, but works really well from Road to Trail.
What's kind of crazy is how thin the heel is there, like when we're talking stacked, but, you know, it looks like it has a cushion in the midfoot.
Ultra always does a great job with their uppers, so you get that nice fit. You can see it's definitely a little bit of that slim down. I forget what they're calling it now. Like
slim fit?
Is it
skinny? I think it is. Skinny jean?
Great Road to Trail option as well, so.
All right, as long as we're talking about trails, Robbie, there's a huge movement and people are trying to make shoes that have a lower impact on the environment.
One company that's their whole brand mission essentially is Allbirds. In the past, we reviewed Allbirds shoes with mixed results. Good for that like lifestyle person who wants to get in a mile, but never really were in love with them until this year with this Tesla Cybertruck looking shoe, the Allbirds Tree Flyer, and I was shocked at how much I like this shoe.
Yeah, when Robbie told me he liked it, I was like, come on. He's like, no, I actually been running it, because I think when I first saw it, I was like, it is a nice looking shoe. And I know that Robbie likes to dad core hard, and I thought maybe this was just one of those shoes.
What gave it away?
Yeah.
It's not a super light shoe. It's in that 10-ounce range. It's like daily trainer range. This back piece is a little heavy and clunky, but they do use a bio-based midsole, which a lot of companies just can't seem to figure out. They seem to have nailed it. The knit upper is neither here nor there. It's not my favorite thing in the world, but...
I think the best thing about this shoe is we used to make fun of their Cheerios that they use for lacing holes.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can tell they tamed it down a little bit. Still not gone.
And no,
but
it's still these
definitely tamed.
Yeah, these rounded eyelets, but it's not the Cheerios that you see on most Allbirds. So, and aesthetically, I think it looks actually, like the midsole structure looks kind of cool. I don't know.
It does. It already looks like it's decomposing, so that's nice.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what else they do, and maybe some that's coming into more of the sustainable shoes in the future. So we like surprises. I like surprise birthday parties. They're usually ruined because
a monster?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
A monster jumps
out, scares you.
Which is what happened this year.
And when we say surprised, we were ready to be like disappointed one more time by their product.
We had the bad section of the review all templated up.
Yeah. And then the monster came out.
Yep.
On cloud
monster.
And we were like, hold up, this shoe feels good.
Yeah. And so this is their Max Cushion Daily Trainer. Pretty big stack of Helion foam. The Cloud Tech is, you got your Cloud Pods that they always throw in there. A little bit of rubber here on the outsole. But so it is a max stack shoe, but I think we need to put that in quotes. It's a max stack for on. It might be more in the Daily Trainer range for normal shoes.
It feels more like a regular well-cushioned shoe. The way that this Helion foam was tuned, it gave you a little more bounce. It gave you a little more land and takeoff.
And there's a little bit of a rocker to this shoe as well, so the transition's a little more smooth there. What I really liked about the shoe, I felt like it was the first time you could actually feel the pods kind of compressing and releasing.
You got that energy return.
The only thing I didn't love about the shoe, the upper could probably use some work. And I think we talked to them, they're kind of revamping the upper for the next version. But overall, yeah, big surprise this year.
Yeah, and I think it was a big hit with the consumers too. We talked to a couple of people when we went to different shoe stores and asked them what was selling, and the monster was definitely on that list. So a lot of people were probably surprised by this.
And they're moving in the right direction on Cloud Go. Another surprise, actually.
Yeah.
And
I'd say it's our surprise brand of the year because we kind of we're like,
Yeah, definitely.
All right, another surprise this year came from a category that has typically been kind of boring. Like I haven't gotten really excited about a mediocre shoe.
It's like the standard Honda Accord of Daily Trainers.
That's a good example, yeah. A surprise this year was the Ride 15 from Saucony. And I mean, it doesn't even have a fancy foam. It's just got the Power Run regular foam. Upper, nothing too exciting about it. But when you get this on your foot, it just sings.
I think it's just the combination of all the things done right. Power, like you said, Power Run midsole, the nice fit of the upper again that we've loved this year from Saucony.
It is lighter on the feet. It rolls through your stride. I've been surprised how many people I've seen racing in this shoe. So when I was at the London Marathon, this shoe was up there with people doing well under 3:30 for the marathon wearing this as their race day shoe.
That's awesome. Yeah,
also, when we were out, you missed it, but Beta Breakers, this was one of the most, like the orange and cream version of this shoe, I just saw everywhere.
Nice. All right. Well done.
So Robbie, after a run, you want to treat your feet.
Deckers X-Hop is always probably the top of my line. They haven't come out with anything really new this year.
Well, I do like a Deckers shoe, but when I want light, easy, fast,
yeah, just slip on.
Ufos, and these aren't mine. They're pretty. These are Megan's, but yeah. But they're just super comfortable. You can throw them in a backpack after a run or a race. You can take off your speed shoes, throw these suckers on, and you can already start to feel better.
In the summertime, I had the flip-flop version of these. It was nice after trail run, just like throw them in.
I think they're called thongs.
Thongs?
Yeah.
Let me see that.
All right. But the next shoe that we're going to talk about really kind of wowed us, and it wowed us for a couple of reasons, Robbie.
Yeah, so it's the Asics Actibreeze 3D sandal. Not sure if this is for sale or like would randomly pop up for sale.
Yeah,
and then
every once in a while, yeah.
It's so ridiculous. I don't know. It's hard to describe the feeling of it underfoot.
Kind of feels to me like when you were a kid and you're jumping on a mattress.
It does. Yeah, kind of. And people are always like giving it shit for saying, "Oh, are you gonna step in dog shit?" Whatever.
People seem to be worried about, which I think is weird because like
how many times you stepped in dog shit?
Well, I also kind of like am aware of where I'm walking, but like even if you did, it's made of rubber. You just hose this sucker out.
I wore this a lot, and I was gonna take a bet to run 10 miles in it. It never came off, which I'm still disappointed about. In the summertime, what was really awesome about this shoe, by the way, this is a fully 3D printed sandal, and hence the 3D part. It really does act to breeze your feet, where when in the summertime when you're walking around, you know how you get all that sweat layer on your bottom of your foot wearing normal sandals? It keeps your whole foot cool, which is kind of crazy to feel.
It does. You get that airy feeling underneath when you take it to the pool. If your foot was wet, it just kind of still grips well because the bottom here. There is some things that weren't great about it. I got a little bit of rubbing here on the top of my foot that took a while to break in.
You have to break in this shoe,
Yeah.
like callus your feet for a few wears before it.
But once you do, it really does feel great underfoot.
The reason we're throwing it on here is just the feel of it, recovery-wise, feels great on the foot.
All right, Robbie, there's kind of a new category coming out. Plates used to be for speed. They used to be for race day. But we're getting into an era where it's getting added to daily trainers. So we kind of wanted to make a separate category just for plated daily trainers.
Yeah, there's one that really stood out to us this year. It just came out last month, I think. It's the Puma DV8 Nitro 2.
And honestly, this could have won Shoe of the Year for me. It's that good. It's got a really nice new layer of Nitro Elite, which is softer, more energy return, and then they pair it with the regular Nitro in the heel for the stability. You've got a carbon infused plate in the midsole here that gives it the snappiness. The shoe just feels amazing, and the grip, you got that Puma grip.
Best grip in the game.
They totally fixed the upper, the heel lift, and the heel problems that were in the DV8, the original one.
I think that was a huge part of it because a lot of people had some Achilles rubbing issues and things like that in the first one.
The biggest problem Puma has is getting these shoes on people's feet. They don't have distribution. They're not in your local running store. They're, you have to go to a website.
Sometimes they're there on the website, sometimes they're not.
But if you can get a hold of this shoe, get this shoe. This is a phenomenal shoe you can get.
We put on our best do-it-all roundup. I think it was a late addition to that because it was so good. Runner-up would be the Asics Glide Ride 3. I mean, we love that shoe so much because it was soft without being too soft. It had that nice rocker geometry in it, which just rolled you through your stride. And
they lightened it up this year. It was a little lighter. It just was one of those shoes that, I know that was one of Kafuzi's favorite shoes. We loved it. Megan did many, many miles in that shoe. Just loved that shoe for that. And
I might even like that better than our next shoe that's coming up, the Shoe of the Year.
The Shoe of the Year for me stays the Shoe of the Year. When we think about Shoe of the Year, we think about the shoe that you can use for the most running possible. Daily running, racing. Does pretty much everything and does it in a way that you enjoy spending time in. It is the shoe that I probably spent more miles in than any other shoe this year. I kept reaching for it. We had summer grit.
You did over 200 miles just in July, right?
Yeah. Our pick of the year, the Nova Blast 3. I know this is going to be a little controversial because some people had problems, Robbie, with the grip on the rubber and think it didn't grip well enough.
Fair point.
It is a fair point, but I ran through rain, heat, every bricks, gravel, everything. I never slipped, never had a problem, so I don't know what's going on. But this shoe really just hit all the marks for me.
And this lost an ounce of weight over the last version, so even lighter and still retains that same bounce. More stable, I think. They widened the heel by just a touch, or at least the forefoot.
They added in the Flight Foam Blast Plus for the midsole. It just has such a nice ride. It almost feels like a max cushion shoe.
Yeah, I would say this has as much comfort as a lot of the max cushion shoes we reviewed. Again, you can use it for anything. It feels light on the feet, just the uppers nice and breathable. For $140, you can pick this up, or there's a Super Blast for $220. Overall, I probably like the Super Blast more, but I don't know if it's enough to bridge that gap between them.
When I think about the two shoes, I'm like, this is close enough at the price point that's good enough that I'd probably still stick with this guy. There's one shoe that you felt like you kind of had some good miles in and kind of gave it a run for its money.
Yeah, personally, I think the New Balance SC Trainer is my shoe of the year, which is crazy because when I first got it, I thought there's no way.
We said that when we were earlier in this review, yeah.
It was pretty heavy, but it's one of those shoes that I like to describe as it's a slow feeling race day shoe, or a slow shoe with a race day feel, which is a weird category, but it really does feel like you have that bounce, the carbon plate, the roll through. I think I did a lot more miles in this shoe than any other shoe this year. It doesn't die. It feels like will hold up forever, and you get that nice, feeling stride, saves your legs the next day. Did some big long runs in it.
I think that's one of the best things about this shoe is it really does, the next day, even if you did long runs in the shoe, the next day you're like, I feel fresh.
Yeah, I have to say this is personally probably my favorite shoe of the year. There's a couple other ones that I really love, but I think for how much I wore this, I'd have to put it up there.
Yeah. All right, and I'm back now, and I've got our authority on wide foot shoes. You may know him as Jarrett. You may know him as Mr. David Blaine. You may know him as the Rock Creek Killer. But who he really is Wide Foot Jarrett, and he is here to give us his #1 pick for the year 2022 Wide Foot Shoe Edition. And we're gonna throw in a runner-up. So you wanna start with the runner-up?
The Saucony Ride 15 was actually a complete shock to me. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. It's a daily trainer that just works.
And this is a wide foot edition. This is not the normal width.
Yeah, we got the 2E Saucony Ride 15.
Who got your #1 pick of the year for shoe of the year for people with paddles?
The New Balance Fuel Cell SC Trainer.
Why did this work for your wide foot?
It is a carbon plate trainer that comes in 2E, so we're gonna stop right there and say that that is, you know, an automatic huge benefit. And I think that this is the best fitting carbon plate shoe that I've worn. Once I kind of got over the fact that it is a chunky, heavy shoe, but it's got trainer in the name, okay? This isn't like, you know, your marathon elite racing shoe. I have over 200 miles in this shoe. I just kept running it. The more I run in it, the more I like it. It's squishy, it's comfy, and my legs are not beat up afterwards.
There you have it, our wide foot picks of the year from our wide foot reviewer of the year. Only wide foot reviewer, Jarrett. And Jarrett, so anything you want to tell your fans before you leave here?
Colors have gotten better. We're making a scene. Companies are noticing, and I am excited for 2023.
All right, Robbie, so that wraps it up. That is our picks for the best road shoes of the year.
Should we give our top 3?
That's what I was going to go. I was going to say
Top 3 brands.
And I think we should start at 3 and move our way up.
Okay, all right.
And
I like that.
let's also give an idea of why we're picking these brands as our top 3.
Yeah, so I'd say this is a more holistic view, what across the board, what everyone's done. There might be a brand that has a shoe that's ranked above all these, but I'd say for just general across the board goodness.
They've got the daily trainer, they've got the speed shoe, they've got the whole lineup, stability. They're putting out, like, we're having to compare their shoes to figure out which ones we like better, and they cover the whole gambit. So when you talk about the ones that are exciting this year, let's start with number 3.
All right, so number 3 for us is New Balance.
Yep, New Balance had some hits, but what takes them down a little bit is they had some misses on some of the shoes.
Yeah, misses. The RC Elite V3 just did not hit it for me. It just felt like a lighter version of the SC Trainer, but not a race day shoe. Almost like a daily trainer in a way. But the hits were big. The SC Trainer for sure.
More V4,
More
one
V4.
our cushion shoe. One of the shoes I was a little disappointed with was the Rebel V3 this year. They took a shoe that used to look like a race car and turned it into looks like something you park in your front yard.
But then there's the standards like the 1080, very solid. I think if you go down a half size.
880.
880.
I mean, they had it all. And they also, another reason that we have to give them some credit is for our wide foot reviewer, Jared, they have the most shoes that he can get his flipper into. And I love some of the styles New Balance has. I like the way that they're designing their shoes in the most part. So that's where they come in number 3. Number 2.
Asics.
Asics came with the fire. And I can't believe it, a few years ago, Robbie, would we even say Asics is in the lineup?
No, there's no way. But again, the last 2 years, they've really revamped everything. And anyone that's watching this knows that you've probably tried one of the shoes at this point. The only miss for Asics this year was the
Magic Speed.
The Magic Speed, which was a huge miss.
But that was a miss. There's a couple other areas where I felt like they could have done some tweaking, but overall, I mean, if you were into their legends like the Kayano and the Nimbus, they were great this year. They weren't like super exciting.
I still think the Nimbus 24 might be. It's in my top 5.
I'm so excited for what's coming this next year, which we can't tell you about. Next year, it's going to be hard to beat Asics from what we've seen already. But this year, I think there's one brand that kind of just across the board just swept.
Yeah, and it's Saucony.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
The only shoes that I didn't like it's more like a style thing. Like, I don't like minimal shoes. So the Kinvara at this point is a little too thin. It's a little too hard. So that didn't do it for me, but it's not a bad shoe.
People who love the Kinvara love the Kinvara.
Still love the Kinvara. So. Shoes like the Ride 15 now, that one just feels so good. You had the Tempest for stability shoe, which blew our minds.
Dude, the Triumph, also great. Somehow the Speed 3 didn't even make it into like a list because it's just across everything good. So I felt bad that wasn't on any of the best lists, but it really is probably one of the best shoes out there. And then there's the Endorphin Pro 3, which totally is different from the Endorphin 2.
It won our race day shoe of the year.
I just don't think they missed on any. And I didn't even mention the trail side. They kicked ass on the trail side with the Exodus and even the Endorphin Edge, which is their like crazy wild horse of a race day shoe.
And I even like the Shift, Endorphin Shift 3. I thought it was fantastic. The problem that they actually have is they have too many shoes across the category where it's like, who is this for? Because you could use a Ride 15 for that. You could use the Shift for that. You could use the Axon for that. You could use...
Axon, we didn't even say that.
Well, that one, our budget shoe of the year. The Tempest. You know, would that be in the daily trainer? And then you come in and you have the Speed that you can use on race day. You have the Pro that you can use on race day. There's too many shoes like that are overlapping that are great shoes. It's like...
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. As far as the product goes, the product's great.
Yeah. And that's all that really matters.
So Robbie, there's a couple companies, now that we've talked about the ones that are doing it right, there's a couple companies that have fallen from grace and need to rise up.
Yeah.
And this year we were underwhelmed by the product that they sent us.
So Brooks, I'm hoping things, I know they're the top selling shoe in the industry.
I mean, two of the companies that I can think of the top of the head are shoes. They don't care that we think they are doing a poor job because they are selling shoes.
Yeah.
And Brooks is definitely Ghost all day long. If you, like you were talking about a Honda Accord earlier.
Ghost, Glycerin, Launch, like they're going to sell them, but
they all kind of feel the same.
I'm not sure what's happened the last 2 years. I mean, the Hyperion Elite is still the same shoe as it was when it came out.
And it's heavy.
Hyperion Tempo.
I wouldn't want to race in it.
It's going to be 3 years before the second version of the Hyperion Tempo comes out.
That and the Aurora were our two favorite shoes from Brooks. Probably the most innovative ones that they had. And they're just...
And that's what's weird is that the Aurora felt so good, it was so great, and then it never translated over
to the Glycerin.
Then on the trail side, it did somewhat translate to the Caldera, which I like that shoe a lot. Another one, Hoka. I don't know.
Hoka.
I mean, the Mach 5 is awesome for sure.
The Mach 5 is really good, but it's not going to carry a line. They're letting the New Balances beat them to the Max Cush shoe with the Moore V4. Like, that used to be owned by Hoka, and now, like, the Bondi was really narrow with a wide base. The base felt firm. The Clifton is kind of like in this boring land.
I mean, they don't have a legit carbon-plated racing shoe, or just a racing shoe in general.
It looks like one's come. The Rocket,
it's
too.
It's coming, but it's not for 22. It wasn't here.
The Carbon X knit upper was a disaster.
I will say on the trail side, the Tecton X, excellent shoe. I think they did some nice stuff on the trail side this year, so that's always good. But yeah, roadside, a little bit disappointing. The Mach Supersonic was just, I don't even know what that was. And the Koana. Yeah.
One other brand I would say, like, what's going on? Mizuno. Their shoes have they're not evolving. I know they're trying new things. I will say there's a glimmer of hope. We got the Rebellion Pro, and that shoe is phenomenal. Like, I really dig it. As far as, I don't know that it's released this year, otherwise it probably would have been in my mix for race day shoes.
Yeah, so that's coming in January, I think, January or March, and again, that could have been one of the top shoes of the year.
But everything else in their line that we've tried this year, very pedestrian.
Yeah, it just seems there's no innovation going on. There's a lot of disconnect between...
No brand excitement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully, I mean, again, the Rebellion Pro seems to be a move in the right direction. So maybe we'll see some more of that come from Mizuno. I don't know.
I'm starting to see hope for Ultra, and I never thought I would say that because I've never liked the shape of the shoe from my foot, but I see them making some innovations over there, and I've even heard that they might be coming out with shoes that aren't necessarily zero drop. I also am pretty excited that we finally got some shoes from On that we talked about that are sort of
and we've
delivering the promise.
And we've heard more from them just about what's coming. They're innovating a lot. Seems like there could be some interesting stuff down the pipeline.
Yeah, so those are two brands we were saying, hey, keep an eye on those guys. We got to say thank you to all of you that come and watch our videos. This has been an incredible year, 2022. We've tried to give you the most honest reviews and share with you what's going on here and share some of our adventures with you. I hope you enjoyed it, but honestly, we can't thank you enough for watching these videos and tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, and hopefully we'll be back with a lot of awesome reviews next year. Make sure you subscribe to this channel because we're going to the running event in 2 weeks. We're gonna have insane videos coming out of like all the shoes coming in 2020
with good audio.
With good audio, hopefully. And it's gonna be exciting. So
yeah, so stay tuned and let's get the best of 2023 starting to roll.
Last thing, please follow us on all our social channels, Instagram, join a Strava club, go to our website. Make sure you listen to the Drop podcast we have every week. That's probably the fastest growing thing we have right now. People are loving it. And yeah, if we have any events, anything like that, come out, say hello.
Yeah, additionally, if you want the best way to keep in touch with us, sign up for our email. You get a weekly email that lists out all our reviews that we've done that week, all our videos,
all our events
the
coming up,
podcast, news. It's a great way to stay in touch with what we got going on if you're interested.
Cool. All right. Thanks.
All right, Robbie, so after your run...
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second.
After your run, you got to hold on for a
put
second.
chapstick on.
Feeling a little dry.
Dude, I got so dried out.
It's that arid desert sand. Look at that, definitely going in the bloopers, please.
My lips hurt real bad.
Duster doesn't protect them.